Boom, 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 boom. Right, so we're going to check out some of the news today. What has Charlie V been up to? I was watching some of this earlier on, this Outlaw Bikers by Liam Tufts. Liam Tufts is so cool, man. What a legend that guy is. Proper alpha male. Has his problems, has his struggles, but he gets through them quite well. Well, what we're going to look at then, we are going to look at what has Charlie Veitch been doing today.
Clitheroe Castle. Clit Hero E, now with 7 vibrating settings for your carnal pleasure. So, you guys notice how no matter
It's always a sexual innuendo with this guy, isn't it?
who's in charge politically, we'll talk about Britain, and it also works in Canada, America. Call them the Anglo, Australia, New Zealand, the Anglo world, my European viewers as well. I'm sure it's Germany, France. Anyway, no matter who wins in Europe, America, or in the UK, the Social Democrats, Labour Party, the Conservatives, Liberal Democrats in the future, Reform, and like just rewinding slightly, Boris Johnson, you know, Conservatives, we're going to conserve this country. What did they do? They opened the floodgates for migration. Every last Tom, Dick, Harry, Abdul, and Mohammed, primarily from Islamic nations, flooding this country, enriching it with their anti-civilization urges. Not all of them. And that comes on to a very good point. Not all of them, not all migrants.
No, not all migrants.
No matter who you vote for, no matter which team of ugly people, because politics is show business for the ugly, no matter which team of uglies you vote in, they are merely puppets on a stage to give you the illusion of choice, because who runs the country? Little doggy? It's the big business and war party. And for some reason, which we'll explain in a second, the big business
Genuinely think this guy has ADHD. He just loses focus so quickly.
and war party needed a lot of migrants. After decades following the Club of Rome, where they decided, that was like an early World Economic Forum, Club of Rome, Bilderberg, now it's WEF,
So the thing about Charlie Veitch, if anyone's interested, and why it winds me up, is he is just literally one of them guys that is... Do you know you get the memes of, like, I support the current thing? Well, Charlie Veitch is the guy that is, I'm against the current thing. So whatever's, like, you know, big, like, you know, with the Palestine marches, COVID, this, that, the other. I'm trying to think of so many other things. Loads of conspiracy theories as well. Charlie Veitch just goes a complete opposite direction. He just goes against the grain. And that's what I think, that's all his content is. Well, more recently, it's targeting crackheads and skagheads around Manchester. I'm presuming that's where he's from. That's not me doxing him. But the thing about Charlie Veitch is, first time I ever remember him, so I used to be a security guard in Fortnum and Masons, Fortnum and Masons in central London. And there was I think it was a G20 or G7 riots, where they basically rioted all around London and the rest of the fucking country. Anyway, we, as a security team, were given an email basically saying, yeah, look out for this individual. If you see him, make sure you bring the attention to the old bill, to the police. Because he's a wanted person. He never turned up. But anyway, he did talk about Fortnum and Masons quite a lot, saying he was going to target it.
Economic Forum back at the Club of Rome back in the 70s. They were like, we can unify people. We'll tell them that they are the problem. There's too many people. The environment's gone to shit. Fast forward, you got the Swedish Doom Goblin. So, you know, Greta Thunberg, who's now like a proper, like, you know, Hamas member.
Swedish
So
Doom Goblin.
they told the Europeans and the West, people in the West, they forgot to give the message to the third world. They told the people in the West, unless you stop having children, look at the Chinese, they got one-child policy. Unless you stop having children, the world's going to go to shit. You're all going to die.
There's something about children today. Was it something like... Did I read that 24... Oh, was it? No. Migrant children are 24 times more likely to end up in prison. I think that's what I heard. Or was it 24... was it migrants are 24 times more likely? It's a weird number, 24 times more likely. Anyway, Charlie Veitch is boring me. He always does. I'm going to go on to this guy. Migrant reveals... What's this say?
You want to be...
Migrant reveals Mad reason to come to UK. Not France or Germany. This should be interesting.
Be a footballer. Why didn't you want to play football in Italy?
I'm getting like bored. Yeah.
You're going to get a boat.
Tell me this guy didn't say he wanted to come to the UK to play football. Please tell me that's not the reason, the narrative he's sticking to for crossing so many safe countries to get here.
Yeah.
Okay, is it not dangerous?
Yeah, it's dangerous, but you have to get 50-50 when you go 50-50 in your life.
You tried to come to England?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? How long have you been in Calais trying to come?
Maybe 1 week.
What did you hear about Britain?
Britain, yeah, I hear this good place, you know.
Yeah.
You get your future, young footballer, you know.
You want to be a footballer, but do you think that you'll be able to do... Why do you think Britain? Why did that become your
Wants to be a footballer. I thought they were all coming over to be doctors or engineers.
dream?
Since when I was young, I'm dreaming that you play one time in Liverpool like that, you know.
Okay, but not in France or not in Germany or somewhere else, or...
You know, Liverpool, there's not here. Liverpool is...
Okay.
Excuse me. terrible habit. The reason why I didn't want to stay in Germany, Italy or France was because he couldn't, he didn't have a chance of joining the Liverpool Football Club if he stayed in one of them countries. So no, he had to come to England because obviously he's going to join the Liverpool Football Club.
You have to go there if you want to play that team, you know.
But how are you going to get there? What's your plan?
I'm getting like bored. Yeah.
You're going to get a boat?
Yeah.
Oh, they're in
Okay,
France
is it
right
not
now, they're not actually in
dangerous?
England.
Yeah, it's dangerous,
Yeah.
but you have to get 50-50 when you go 50-50 in your life. That's your life later. You're making something good, you know. You know, the difference is good life and bad life, you know. That's why. And we don't have any document that to fly there. So
Okay.
you have to go like that.
Like, have you tried to go before? Yeah.
2 times I tried before, but the police make
They cut the boat.
bro. So and we don't have the place to stay. You know?
I see. Did they travel? Did they get to the UK?
Yeah.
Anyone from your camp?
Yeah,
Did they get there?
many people. My friend is all there.
He got on the boat.
They go, yeah. My friend is
Oh right. Were you both at the beach at the same time, or how did he manage?
No, some group they go one time, some group they go one time. You know.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you know when.
So when you realise that your mates turned up to Liverpool with the ambition of joining the Liverpool Football Club, and that obviously didn't fucking work, was that not a signal to use? And maybe England's not the right place for me? No? Okay.
When I come
Who
today,
am I to say?
I can't go because they are all the people.
I
have
see.
to go all the people, then we go.
Do they say what life is like when they got there?
There is good, bro. They have the place to stay, they go to school, you know.
Yeah, they're definitely going to school. They're definitely hanging around outside loads of schools. I know that much.
Better than here.
It's better than here. So it's not living like this. It's living better.
Yeah, you live in a house, bro. You manage your life, you know. If you are studying something, if you are going football, if you are going actress like that, you're going well.
Why is it not like that here?
That's the next Stephen Graham right there. Not only does he want to be a footballer, he wants to be an actor as well. Fuck me.
In France?
No, you can't.
Look, it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? I shouldn't really be laughing at the guy. The guy's trying his best to make a new life for himself. But I mean, at the same time, the logical part of my brain is telling me, well, he's passed through 3 or 4 different safe countries where he could have done that. At what point does it just them taking a piss out of our fucking system?
Chance.
Did you come through other countries to get here?
Yeah, me, I'm coming now Somalia. I come to Libya
Okay.
came here boat in Italy.
To Italy? Okay.
Boat, Italy to Libya to Italy boat. Then I come for Flixbus
Okay.
into France.
Why didn't you want to play football in Italy?
Bro, a dream is one team, bro. If you have
Okay.
a dream, bro, you have
I can't. I have to play for Liverpool. They're waiting for me. They don't know what's coming their way. Fucking hell, man. I mean, it's just delusional, isn't it? It's not even, see, that's not desperation. That's just delusion.
to make your dream. You don't go another things, you know.
Right.
So you have to go your way because
I
you
see.
have dream. Bro.
Oh, look, maybe you can go and play for them instead. Fucking hell. Migrants tracked by Express reporter 24 hours in Calais. Let's check that out. Oh my god, what's happening to me?
So we've been tracking a group of migrants from the centre of Calais. Want to come to England? 3 different unmarked cars.
Yeah, look, I'm just going to follow from a distance on foot.
Dan, can hear voices over here. Are you planning to come to the UK?
Cutting
We
them
have
out
to
like
ask
a
questions
Gestapo
and we have to
looking
find
for
out the people that want to come to the UK.
يا بإحدام.
So this is the centre of Calais. Main bit of water that goes down to the river, and this sort of area has also become, as you can see here, a camp. So this point would make sense to be here because this is right next to the train and bus station, which is the route out to the beaches. So obviously if you're stopping there, you can go at any time. How are you? Okay? Good, good. You speak English? No?
course they
You want to come to
fucking
England? No? So this is quite interesting because normally
Who's providing these tents? That's a good question. That's what I'd like to know. Because you don't see them carrying tents when they're doing, you know, the long old death march from fucking Italy all the way to the UK. There's plenty of them over here now, around Marble Arch and places like that, especially in London. I can only speak for London. There's plenty of tent cities now. It almost looks a little bit like Skid Row in America.
in central Calais,
Minus the drugs. I have to say there's not as much drug use going on in their tent cities.
they did not allow this type of thing to happen. They didn't normally allow these camps to build up, but it looks like over time that's changed. So we've come to Calais bus station because in the past this was the place where all the migrants used to gather up and take the free bus, because all the buses here are free, out to Sangatte, which is one of the main large beaches where crossings are made. It looks like the police may be cracking down on that because we haven't seen as many migrants, but there are camps just dotted around here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to jump on the last bus and essentially go out and follow that route that they might be taking to see what we can spot. And we've got a couple of other people that will be
But you don't get on the fucking dinghy with them though, do you, big lads?
following different routes in cars to see what we can find. I mean, look, we know it's going on. We just spoke to a guy just around the corner from here, and he told us that he was coming back and they were kind of working in shifts. So it might not be that they're kind of massing up and going as a big group anymore. It might just be that they're going in smaller groups.
Super serial, guys. Super serious. I mean, what's with the music? They're just getting on a fucking bus. I mean, like, it's not exactly fucking Croydon, is it? It's like super serious, guys. And who's paying for these buses to take them there? Are they begging for money? Or they might have money.
Now, the old Bill in their little doom buggies up the hill. Yeah, look, I'm just going to follow from a distance on foot.
Right, so I've just seen a couple of unmarked police cars and following the group now up a path into a rural, remote area. All I'll say is, if these guys are able to cross tonight, it's not without the police knowing about it, because the police have known everything. I'm just following it around. Right up into the trees. They were stopped by a group of police who just let them continue onwards. We're going to go and see whether we can have a chat to them about what they're planning to do.
Is there something like 50,000 migrants have come into the UK now since January? Mate, don't ever join the old bill because you lose people way too quick.
Here they are. Hi guys, how are you? Can I ask you what you're doing up here?
None of your fucking business, big lads.
Eating. Are you planning to come to the UK? Yes. Yes. You're going tomorrow on the boat.
They don't care. They know if he was French police, for instance, and he said, "Are you all planning to go to the UK?" they don't give a fuck about telling them that they are, because they know the French police will probably help them onto the fucking boats.
Waiting up here. Where are you guys from?
Iran.
Iran. What? Where?
Iran, Kuwait.
Kuwait.
Fuck me, he's
Okay.
the whitest Iranian or Kuwaiti I've
And why
ever
do you
seen.
want to come to the UK? We're from the UK. Obviously, UK people are interested about people coming on the boats.
You ask me, you want to take future? You ask them people?
We're journalists. Is our job.
No, journalists are outside. No, take photo.
If you want to come to the UK, then we have to
Then
ask
we have to take
questions
your
and we
picture.
have to find out the people that want to come to the UK.
No want to
You can't help me?
There's that guy in the white hat in the middle. He's like, yeah, how's it going, guys? Yeah, he's another actor. He's not an engineer or a doctor. He's another actor. He loves the camera. He's not camera shy at all.
Why do you want to come on the boat and not on a plane or a different route?
Where's plane?
There's flights to the UK or a different way, because this is it's very dangerous out there, right?
In my country, every day is danger. War, fight.
Okay. But why not stay in France? France is also a safe country.
Not give me people.
They don't give you but why with the UK?
I'm from Palestine
Okay.
أو إسرائيل حرب.
Every
Okay.
family UK.
Everyone
So he's from Palestine. He's worried about Israel kicking off and, you know, him possibly losing his life. Fine, fair enough. I agree with him. I wouldn't want to be in that war zone right now. I wouldn't want anyone else to be. However, you're in a safe country right now. I don't hear any bombs going off. There's no rounds going over your heads. There's no threat to your life. What is the problem with staying there? The problem is they know that the UK is an easy picking place. They'll come here, they'll sign on, they'll get loads of money given to them, they'll get put up in a hotel. Piss easy. Why the fuck wouldn't you? If they stay in France, then they've got to stay in a tent city.
has family in the UK.
Yes.
Right.
don't like France.
You don't like France? Well, what do they say about the UK that makes you want to go there? Work. Anything else?
My life in my country is danger. Me.
Yeah, but people will say in the UK we have lots of problems as well.
In my country, I'm very problem.
Okay.
Big problem.
In Kuwait?
You're a problem for your
No,
country?
Iran.
In Iran.
Yeah, me إعدام.
Why? What happened?
My dad in I don't سياسة. Police Iranian problem.
I see.
Israel is very dangerous. My Palestine or not here Palestine. Israel very dangerous. حرب تسوي حرب.
Have you tried to go on the boats more than once? Is this the first time you try?
No. First time.
First time.
Police.
Okay. What did the police say when they stopped you up here? French police.
My boat.
Oh, they cut your boat before.
Yeah.
When the police stopped you in the car, what did they say?
Nothing.
He say it's okay. Go.
Go. Okay. Did you spend a lot of money to come to the UK?
Of course he did.
Is it expensive to come to the UK?
Yeah.
Yes. How much?
1,500.
Nicht 10. 2,000.
2,000, 1,000.
1,005. What?
How do you raise the money to pay for?
بقول لك انت بتحط المال فين؟
Family.
Family pays. Okay. Are you not worried about the debt? Guarantee.
Yeah.
Oh, right, they're a guarantor.
These people money guarantee, me guarantee, friends only guarantee.
It's only a guarantee.
Turkey.
Okay, in Turkey you had to give a guarantee and then you pay the debt when you get to the
really?
UK.
Are they Turkish
Yeah.
smuggling
Yeah.
gangs?
Okay. Okay. All right. We leave you. Good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
It is a bit shit. Stay there.
So, quite an interesting experience.
But does that
there.
mean that we have to
I
suffer?
mean, obviously they're not really making any secret of the fact of what they're planning to
What's
do.
going on? Ooh, 9
If
minutes
they
of
can make it
forced
across tomorrow
marriage
morning,
is
it
now
will be
live in
fascinating
Britain.
because
Holy
it's no
shit, really?
secret.
Right, let's see what our big guy, Mr. Patrick, I can't remember his last name. Patrick something? Whatever, we'll find out.
Female genital mutilation, forced marriage, cousin marriage and honour-based violence are now rife in Britain. But it's not the Brits doing it, is it? We've imported...
Just a quick one on forced genital mutilation, right? Now, I know he's going to say about Muslims committing FGM, so female genital mutilation, on their young. Now, I'm against that 100%. I am also against male genital mutilation. So in the Jewish religion, they cut off the foreskin. I think that's barbaric, and you can't have it both ways. I think it should be banned. I think it should be banned in this country for both of them. And I don't like this. Oh, it's for hygiene and this. No, take a shower. Teach your kids how to take a fucking shower. Pull it back and wash underneath. Easy. I'm set against it for both of them.
These problems. Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Somalians, Afghans, Indians and Nigerians top the list of forced marriages. 35% of cases last year involve victims aged 17 or younger. They're often flown back to somewhere like a Pakistani village and married against their will, possibly even to one of their cousins. But 6% of forced marriages last year happened in Britain. It's also worth noting that the majority of cases will
happen in Britain. Didn't it happen in fucking Disneyland in America recently? Didn't I hear something about a 9-year-old girl getting fucking forced married out there?
Go unreported. By definition, this is abuse, and one would imagine that many young women, or girls in some cases, will be too afraid to speak out. And of course, they don't record the religion, do they? We couldn't possibly be allowed to know that information. Now, why would some of these women be afraid to speak out? Well, in the year ending March 2024, there were 2,755 honour-based abuse offences recorded in England and Wales. Even The Guardian is waking up to this now. Last year, it was revealed there had been a 60% increase in honour-based violence.
Jesus, in 1 year, 60% increase.
In 2 years. Is that native British people? Or could it be a foreign problem? Do you know what Britain has seen a huge increase in as well? Female genital mutilation. It's 15% up. There were 14,355 attendances about FGM in the 2023 to 2024 financial year. That's according to the NHS. There was also a rise in the number of individual women and girls who visited NHS services about FGM. That was up to about 6,655 last year. Just look at some of these headlines, OK? So it's on the rise in Luton, Bedfordshire, Milton Keynes. Oh, where else? Oh, it's on the rise in Brighton and Hove. We've had cases where a woman was convicted for taking a 3-year-old British girl to Kenya to have her genitals mutilated.
Mate, right, there's a special place in fucking hell for people like that. A fucking 3-year... Oh, I have a 3-year-old daughter. No, I don't. I'm lying. I'm a terrible dad. I have a 5-year-old daughter. She was 3 once, though. And, oh, man, it makes my fucking blood boil. It makes my blood boil.
Now, you might not know this, but the NHS has opened 8 specialist female genital mutilation walk-in clinics in England. Well,
I wonder how many special branch police operations they've brought in to, you know, prevent it happening. It's always mopping up at the end. It's never actually trying to prevent it from happening, deterring it from happening, is it? I know there are investigations that go into it, but there isn't something put in place to deter it.
OK, why do we need them? Is it because British people have suddenly started doing it? The NHS is also hiring specialist inbreeding nurses to cope with the sheer volume of babies born with deformities because their parents...
Yeah, but that's probably less to do with migrants and people from them countries. That's probably just people from Ipswich. Or Purbright or something like that. There's a lot of inbreds around there.
Parents happen to be first cousins. Are more Brits marrying their first cousins? It's interesting that the pro-open borders, pro-mass immigration brigade go very quiet when you point out that violence against women and girls is very common in a lot of...
Somewhere in the deep south of the States right now, there's some hillbilly fucking redneck fucking screaming like, I did it, it's fine. We have a great relationship.
African and Middle Eastern countries, and that they are bringing that violence here. And talking of importing violence, Channel migrants are apparently 24 times more likely to go to jail than Brits. The only reason, in my view anyway, that Britain has a female genital mutilation or an honour-based violence or a forced marriage problem is, unfortunately, because of immigration. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We have former Tory...
Is it because... I don't usually disagree with Patrick, but I think 90% of the migrants that are coming through are adults. So I don't see, and they're adult males, fighting age males. I don't see them, you know, turning up and just going, oh, by the way, I fancy cutting me cock off.
Tory MP Anna Firth, we've got Tory peer Lord Bailey and ex-Labour Party advisor Matthew Larser. Anna, I'll start with you on this. I mean, this is very much a women's rights issue, of course, but you look at those stats there and it's not Brits doing it, is it?
No, I mean, this is absolutely appalling. You know, this is people coming into the country, coming from a different culture, which abuses and which coerces and actually violently tortures young girls in the case of genital mutilation. I mean, this actually is something which I think will unite us on this sofa, because there have been cross-party attempts to tackle this. Of course, Theresa May started in the coalition in banning forced marriages, which was another thing that you mentioned, and there's been repeated attempts to tackle it, but it's clearly very difficult because the poor girls are intimidated and they won't speak out. You need other people in the community to go to the police.
Well, this is the thing, and we have to be honest, we don't know the half of it. Those figures are something, but by definition, given the nature of these crimes, a lot of it will go unreported, a lot of it we'll never know about, sadly. So I think the actual scale of the problem is probably a lot worse. Have we imported this, Sean?
There's no doubt we've imported it. You only have to look at our history. This is not something we've had to deal with in the past. There's two things to be said, though. Firstly, the NHS response is correct. They do need to set up specialist units around inbreeding and female genital mutilation to deal with it. So that response is clear. But what is wrong is when we don't collect the data about who's doing it, that's us turning a blind eye. The sex gang scandal was proliferated, was able to grow because we wouldn't do that. And that is ridiculous, I would say. So
are we going to learn from our mistakes?
Contention that we cannot offend. You know, we mustn't ask questions. We must ask questions. And these two situations, the grooming gangs and now these forced marriages, etc., means that we've learnt the hard way that we must ask these questions.
Matthew, has there been a blind spot on the left here, the big kind of open borders or just pro-mass immigration brigade, talking about how wonderful multiculturalism and diversity is? They also seem to be quite vocal a lot of the time about women's rights. But as it turns out, those two sometimes do not marry up, do they? And do they need to, you know, accept that they've made a bit of a mistake here, do you think?
Well, I agree. I'm not sure that I necessarily agree with that framing, but I agree with Sean that we do need to record the data. I think the big lesson from the grooming gang scandal is that, you know, the greatest disinfectant is sunlight. And when you can see the picture, the whole picture, you can deal with the problem more effectively. I think Anna's absolutely right.
I think you might have been referring to Ginger's, that the greatest threat is sunlight.
I'm very glad that we saw the ban on forced marriages come in. I think that's actually why we've got the statistics that we have. But clearly, more work needs to be done to ensure that they're not happening. So more people in communities need to speak out.
But is that not a problem? So on that, great, because two of you have said that so far, so three of you probably have said it. You know, about people in communities need to speak up. Well, the grooming gang issue, I'll be honest with you,
100%. Now, just like I've said before, 100 times, the grooming gangs, you know, predominantly Pakistani males. Yeah, that is a problem. It is also a problem that the rest of not the rest, but a lot of the Pakistani community knew about this problem and did not. Some of their wives of the abusers knew about the problem and refused to bring it to anyone's attention. Yeah, it's, again, that's just lack of integration. That is.
Very surprised that there wasn't more community backlash, local community backlash from aspects of the British Pakistani community about it. I mean, some of the ones have been able to seemingly move back into the family home, move back into the community, and there hasn't been any attempts to get them out.
There's two reasons for that. Firstly, the people who most needed to speak up are also the people who are most fearful of speaking up. The type of man who will run a sex grooming gang is probably not to be trifled with on a day-to-day basis.
This is also true.
that happened. But what really needs to happen, we've seen it with this latest BBC scandal around these artists who espouse some views that everybody didn't want to see on television. Who's responsible? Whose head rolls? If this was somebody on the right, if this was Nigel Farage who said something, The Guardian would be searching for heads. We should be searching for heads here, because unless somebody's head rolls, it will continue to happen.
We also have to keep making allowances for this. You're absolutely right. If we do have a problem, and it's a health problem, then the NHS should deal with it, right? So in a way, we do need inbreeding nurses, and we...
I thought he was going to say we do need inbreeding. Yeah, Patrick, that's all you big lads. You do you, bro.
do need walk-in centres for female genital mutilation. However, and the problem is, the taxpayer is now paying for imported issues, isn't it? Health issues that we've brought to Britain.
Well,
not only that, just to add on to Patrick's point there. If we do need these female genital mutilation walk-in centres for people to, have post-care for their forced... Well, even if it's not forced, it's still illegal. You can't voluntarily get FGM done to yourself. Not in this country, anyway. It's illegal. Shit bust. It's too dangerous. So, not only should they have the FGM care units, they should also have 2 police officers there ready to take statements of every single fucking person that walks in there to start an investigation into what happened and how it happened.
You're absolutely right. And if you come to this country, you have to abide by our cultures and our traditions.
And our laws.
Racist!
And our laws.
Racist, you can't say that. Racist.
And, just as we've done with forced marriages, we've got to go further. There is a private member's bill going through the House about cousin marriages. Right. That's also, a massive problem. And that should be made completely illegal. It shouldn't be happening. And genital mutilation is gross bodily harm. It's one of the most serious assaults. It's GBH. We need some really big prosecutions, and we need people going...
We've seen the first ones, but we definitely need more, don't we?
We need more, far more.
Does this not raise a point, Sean, that maybe some cultures are worse than others?
Listen,
I've had this argument with a few mates, right? So I'm all for respecting other people's cultures, but if other people's cultures are not compatible with your culture, and there are things that happen there, like FGM is a cultural thing, that Muslims taking the foreskin or the clitoris from their children, Jews taking the foreskin off their sons, which again I'm against. These people are just born. Leave their fucking genital. Can people just leave the sexual organs of children alone? Is that too much to fucking ask for?
When he said that, everybody in the Labour Party who's in the chamber at the time and who listened to her jumped down her throat. Turns out she's correct. And that is a fact. But here's the problem. We live in this metropolitan liberal world where people won't allow you to say it. If you say anything like that, you're far right, according to Keir Starmer. If you challenge anything, apparently you're a racist. But let's be clear, by not challenging those things, we've had a large number of young girls raped. We now have imported crimes that, quite frankly, we don't know the scale of because of the nature of these crimes. And what else? And this is the question. People have talked about immigration and multiculturalism as if it's always the best thing in the world. Clearly not true. And now it's time to admit that and deal with some of the fallout.
I mean, something
there's a reason why cultures...
that's kind of slipped into the...
There's a reason why cultures are separate. It's because they're not compatible most of the time. Very few times. I think the only compatible culture that's different from my own culture in this country is probably the Caribbean culture. And that, again, it comes under a sort of Christian culture, unless you're Rastafarian. But they've integrated so fucking well. I love their food. I love their music. I love their people. Do you know what I mean? And then we move on to other cultures and they're incompatible. But if you point out the incompatibilities, racist, bigot, fucking insane, man.
Radar, given the quite graphic nature of some of the issues that I've mentioned there, was that apparently child migrants are 24 times more likely to go to prison than Brits. So, I mean, the last couple of weeks here, I've exposed that there are people with assault rifles helping to bring these people over, people pumping out ISIS propaganda helping to bring these people over, and then now today's latest line on it is that so they're 24 times more likely to go to prison. So, that's another imported crime, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that's why we need to stop the boats, and neither party's managed it, and both parties have so far failed. Just to go back to, and one good thing is the government has committed to publishing the figures in terms of which, people including GB News campaign for, so that we know that if crimes have been committed by people who've arrived in the country from other countries. Just on the, can the community do more? I think we have to pay tribute to those within particularly South Asian communities who campaign really hard on it. I had the great privilege of meeting the people from Karma Nirvana, which is a great organisation, which was one of the which is a voice for Asian women, which is one of the people who spoke loudest in terms of getting the ban in. We need to support people to call out the problems when they happen, and we need to come down like a ton of bricks when they do, and we need to know what's going on, which is why those statistics are important.
You mentioned that about how, when you talk about a difference in cultures previously, you're a far right, you're a racist. Well, a lot of people have been very vocal about the idea of crime coming across the channel in small boats. Well, now, again, there appears to be some serious evidence for that. It's almost like all of this stuff's turned out to be true, isn't it?
Well, look, it's obvious that it's turned out to be true, but what's interesting, it wasn't that people were disputing would this be the end, it's the way in which they did it. They tried to demonise and cut people out of the conversation.
100%.
That's the key thing about how it's been done. But there's two things to be said. First, this government has utterly failed on the boats.
Yep.
We are now into record levels. I said before on
failed on the boats. They've done absolutely nothing of done nothing of substantial fucking effort to stop it. It's almost like they want them to come through. Over 50,000 since January this year. We're only in fucking July.
This very sofa, you're not smashing any gangs unless you have a direct relationship with law enforcement in said country.
Yeah.
And if we really want to change things, what we need to do now is if you don't have paperwork, if you've got here illegally, we need to let you know you're never going to stay to stem that flow, because without that, we will not beat the game.
Let's just throw an umbrella over this, and I'll give you the final word to you on this segment, which is that when you look at those stats there about, OK, right, was a female genital mutilation clinic that's opened up at the end of my road, we're advertising for inbreeding nurses now, and then we've got to deal with the fallout of all of that, and then on top of that, every time we see a boat coming over, turns out they're 24% more likely to commit a crime. Do you think that the ordinary, hard-working British people in this country have a right to be quite angry about all of this stuff?
100%.
Absolutely, because what the British people can see is that we are
100%, but they don't. It really matters on who they direct their anger to. It should be towards the government. It should be towards the people that are in charge of keeping these borders under control. Now, I can forgive people for being angry at specific migrants when they commit crimes, but to blanket just hate all migrants for the sake of them being there, I think is wrong. I think it's totally right when a migrant does something wrong, but it's the government that's letting this fucking happen.
Are being taken for a ride. That we have people coming over to this country who are abusing our girls, and we are sending aid.
All their own.
And we are sending aid to those countries. That has got to stop. And if this is happening at the end of the road, then the police have got to prosecute, and these people have got to go to prison for a long time. I mean, it's 7 years for a forced marriage. It should be double that for female genital mutilation.
Yeah, I would opt for deporting people. People need to be deported.
It's naive, isn't it, just to expect that if somebody does come from a culture and somewhere, like rural Pakistan or Somalia or whatever, where things like female genital mutilation and forced marriage and honour-based violence is standard, that the second that their feet touch British soil, that they're going to stop thinking that way, Matthew?
I mean, there's certainly been naivety amongst some people.
There's definitely a meme in there somewhere, isn't there? There's definitely a meme in them stepping foot on British soil, and then all of a sudden, like, they've just got Christian values.
On the liberal left, not just in Britain but around the world, that literally people who grow up in a very different set of values, different culture, suddenly become kind of model, sort of European, liberals. The moment that, as you say, they arrive on European soil, that's not the case, and that's why if you look around Europe in places like the Netherlands, it's an issue, and we've all got to be absolutely clear. If you come to this country, you stand by the values of this country, and if you don't, there's going to be penalties. So you better learn quick.
All right, well, there we go. Well, thank you very much. Difficult subjects to talk about there, but I think important ones nonetheless.
100%. I mean, I love GB News. They're always talking about the things that the country actually care about, but the rest of the mainstream media just completely go over it. It's fucking mad, isn't it? We've got Conor McGregor, MMA fighter, alleged rapist. Nah, fuck that. Although I've heard that as well. Who else blew up in his face? Let's go back to GB News, see what else they've got. My internet's gone really weird today. I don't know what's going on. Who knew what's going on? Rachel Reeves under fire. Tax hikes. Britain's nuclear test veterans demand justice. Yeah, I've heard about that. That's fucked up. Has anyone else seen this?
Britain's nuclear.
So I remember about it. These are fucking sailors that were sailed out into, like, literally told, right, you're getting on this boat, you're going out into the middle of the ocean, and you're going to be within face distance of a nuclear explosion. Why? Because we want to see what happens to you. Nothing else than that. It's fucking mad, mate.
Test veterans, they're continuing their very long, often lonely fight, and they're expressing mounting frustration over Labour's delayed action on compensation. Just to remind you, back in the 1950s and 60s, servicemen and women were exposed to radiation during weapons testing programmes, resulting in many suffering from long-term health effects.
Cancers,
back in October, you, the GB News viewers and listeners, raised more than £50,000 to fund their reunion at Pontins for later this year.
Fucking Pontins. Jesus, that's more of a punishment than a fucking charity case. Holy shit.
Our reporter, Jack Carson, has this report.
Foundations of a nuclear deterrent that came with a lifetime of sacrifice. In the 50s and 60s, nuclear tests at sites like Christmas Island in the Pacific and Maralinga in Australia saw 39,000 British and Commonwealth servicemen and scientists exposed to high levels of radiation. Documents at the time showed how these tests were not just about the weapons, but also the detailed effects of the explosives on men with and without various types of protection. In opposition in 2022, Deputy Prime Minister Angela...
So they not only did they test them, they wanted to see how much worse they'd be affected when they didn't have protective clothing. Man, our government's fucked. Holy shit.
Rayner and Defence Secretary John Healey
I know this was
said
like
they were committed to helping the Veterans campaign.
The veterans affected by this are not asking for a lot. They simply seek recognition for their suffering.
But the UK remains the only nuclear test country in which there is no scheme at all for compensation and recognition. Your campaign is our campaign.
Today, the Ministry of Defence says ministers have directed teams across the department and atomic weapons establishment to thoroughly examine what information exists regarding medical testing of nuclear test veterans. At Prime Minister's questions last week, the Deputy Prime Minister said it was a matter of priority.
And we're looking into unresolved questions regarding medical records, Mr Speaker, as a matter of a priority.
Alan Owen from the campaign group Lab Rats International says the fight is with the heart of the government.
If you look at the other scandals, we had the infected blood scandal and post office scandals. It was easy to give it.
We've got everything we're going to get out of that. I want to hear more stuff about migrants. Is that bad? Is it bad that I want to hear that? What else we get? Enemies of the West are living up large in London and no one's stopping them. What?
Now, look, I don't know what the bloody hell is going on in Britain right now, but we need to pull our socks up. It appears we're accommodating many people who, quite frankly, hate us and hate our allies. Not least, Iran supporters who are brazenly operating all across this country.
Yep.
Let's kick off with this one, shall we? Here's a Ben Leo Tonight exclusive for you. I can reveal that a former senior member of the Iranian government that issued the fatwa on Salman Rushdie is now living a cushy life in a £1 million North London home. The Iranian man, who I'm not going to name tonight for various reasons, backs the Islamic death sentence on Rushdie after the publication of his book, The Satanic Verses. The Met Police has been studying a legal dossier accusing him of encouraging terrorism under the 2006 Terror Act. Since living in London, the former government minister has frequently praised the late General Qasem Soleimani of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards as a national hero of Iran and Islam. The Americans classed the IRG as a terrorist group, and President Trump killed Soleimani in a drone...
Do we not? Is the IRG not a terrorist group in Britain? I'm sure. I thought it was.
Strike.
Hold on, let me double check that. No, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is not currently a prescribed terror group in the UK. While there have been growing calls for the UK to prescribe the IRGC, the government has thus far opted for increased sanctions rather than outright prescription. Holy fuck. That's insane. How are they not?
Like in 2020. Separately to that, if that wasn't bad enough, I can tell you that Hamas's former commander in the West Bank is also living a life of comfort in London after buying his council house under right to buy. Of course he did. According to US intel, the man ran their terrorist operations in the West Bank and these days helps organise pro-Palestine protests in London. Aren't we generous?
Skills and drills.
So, there's two people who should probably be deported, but hang tight because there's more to come. You ready for the next one? This is a London takeaway that's gone viral overnight after advertising its services using footage of Iranian ballistic missiles striking civilians in Israel.
No, it hasn't. No, it fucking hasn't. Holy Holy fucking shit. This country, man. I bet nothing happened. I bet nothing's happened to them whatsoever. Holy fucking shit, man. How the fuck do you get away with that?
I mean, that was the Lebanese Grill in Harlesden, North London. The food looks all right, but I'm not quite sure about the missiles.
Lebanese Grill.
Then we had this situation outside the Iranian embassy in London yesterday.
I bet Keir Starmer's done has gone on to their website and given them a 1-star rating. That's your punishment. That's your sanction. Fucking mug.
So 2 people were allegedly attacked for protesting against the Iranian regime. 7 have since been arrested for GBH. All this, of course, comes off the back of the absolutely insane scenes.
Yeah, I made a video about this earlier, if anyone's interested.
Now, where 2 pro-Palestine protesters managed to scoot onto the runway, yes, with scooters, and cause millions of pounds worth of damage to a Voyager aircraft and indeed the runway itself. 20 years ago, the Defence Secretary would have resigned for that blunder. Now we just throw our hands in the air and mutter some outrage before accepting Britain's surrender.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you exactly why that is as well. It's because there is not enough people in the army. We stand at like 72,000 strong now. We're not even an army anymore. At best, we're a fucking militia. Do you know what I mean? So when you look at how many people applied for the army or the military last year, it was 170,000 people. 9,000 of them got in. And not because they weren't good enough, because our recruitment process is probably one of the worst in Europe.
Then, separately, tonight, we've had breaking news that an alleged Iranian spy has been arrested in Cyprus, accused of plotting a terror attack on a British airbase.
Holy shit, Akatiri? I served in Akatiri. I was there. Holy fuck.
Worse is the man, who is British, believe it or not, is alleged to have links to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards, the very same organisation our man living in North London appears to idolise. Let's not forget we had 5 Iranians arrested last month who were accused of plotting to carry out an attack on the Israeli embassy in London. And of course, in February this year, Daniel Khalif was jailed for 14 years after escaping prison, trial for spying for
that was a blunder, wasn't it?
The former British Army soldier had been passing sensitive information, including the names of Special Forces soldiers, to Tehran. So, let's recap, shall we? We've got a former Iranian government minister living in London who supports terrorists and issues fatwas, a former Hamas terror chief living in London, London takeaways advertising kebabs using footage of Iranian missiles on Israel, British soldiers spying for Iran, Iranian terror plots against British military bases foiled, Iranians nicked for an alleged plot to attack the Israeli embassy in London, Palestine protesters destroying aircraft at RAF bases. Oh, and breaking tonight, GB News can reveal more than 1,000 small boat migrants have crossed the English Channel illegally in less than 48 hours.
In 2 days.
More than 1,000.
Holy
400
shit.
arrived in Dover yesterday on rubber dinghies, and there was close to 600 today. That's more than 18,000 now for the year.
What are we going to fucking do, man?
What's been happening to our country takes the absolute biscuit.
What happened to my
We need
school?
to buck up our ideas fast before it's too late.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance.
My panel,
I love this guy.
Scotland Yard detective
I
Peter
love this
Blakeslee,
guy.
the former
He's
head of
also
press
such a
advisor
geezer.
Paul Richards, and the journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee. Welcome on the panel. Peter Blakeslee, I'll start with you. What the bloody hell is going on in Britain?
Should we go for a lamb bomber afterwards? Or maybe a
lamb bomber.
Who knows? Anyway, right, I'll tell you what's been happening in this country. For the last 3 decades or more, the progressives
You
have
laugh,
been in
but
charge.
it's fucking sick,
You know
isn't
that
it?
fluffy,
You have to
wokely,
laugh.
intolerant lot who rule so much of the civil service, HR departments and the such like, and have infected every part of public life. They've been in charge. That's why this country has dropped the ball massively through successive governments, because intolerant progressives have ruled the roost. And that's why we've got to this pathetic situation where an
100%.
RAF
Well said,
base
mate. Well
can
said.
be breached.
Now,
People
this
wanting to
man,
damage Europe.
this is the man who needs to be mayor of London. 100%. Him or Ant Middleton. I think if Ant Middleton becomes, I think less so Ant Middleton, more this guy. This guy's got more experience in politics. He's worked with politicians before, and he was an inspector in the old Bill. He'd be the, for me, ideal candidate to get that fucking prick Sadiq Khan out of office. This should be his replacement.
Planes and so much more of what you've mentioned tonight.
And he's a Londoner.
somebody
Wouldn't it be nice to get a
has
fucking
gotta get
Londoner
a
for
grip.
once?
We need a leader. We need a government that is absolutely going to get a grip on what is so wrong with our country and drag it back, kicking and screaming, and to being the once great nation that it was.
Linda, is it salvageable?
100%.
Is it darkest before the dawn? Is there still a future, a bright future to be salvaged?
Well, it's funny you should use that expression, that it's dark, it's the darkest hour, is just before dawn, because what worries me, and this brings into sharp focus what is going on geopolitically between Iran and Israel, is that we can't expect that situation to have no repercussions as far as we are concerned here, or indeed our military bases abroad. We're now on such a precipice with that conflagration in the Middle East that the situation we're looking at now really needs addressing, because it can only get a great deal worse. We already know that 2 B-2 bombers took off late this afternoon from Missouri, heading for Guam.
B-52s, yeah.
B-52s, and then go straight to Diego Garcia to position themselves ready for the conflict. So I think this is a very, very worrying situation.
And by the way, can I just say on those B-52s heading to Diego Garcia, the current situation is such a joke because of Keir Starmer's deal, Paul Richards. The US have to inform the British that B-52s are heading to Diego Garcia. We then have to inform Mauritius that American B-52s are heading to Diego Garcia, who are, of course, linked closely to China and Iran. What a joke.
Fuck my life.
The Chinese will know full well that's happening anyway, by the way, because of their...
But you don't make it. But you don't make it easier for them, do you? You fucking idiot. You don't make it easier for them. Fucking hell, man. And lefties, mate, they always have a way of making it... Oh, my God, fuck me. Nick Timothy MP, re-Islamophobia is not Labour, bringing in with the help to the Muslim Council free speech. I haven't just retweeted on X along with James Goddard. Say what?
On the point about where's Britain heading, I think we
Okay.
have to recognise we are
How's it going,
now
Deborah?
on
You
a
all right?
footing, and the Prime Minister has said this. That will inform all kinds of domestic policy. I'm glad, for example, ministers have prescribed Palestine Action, that they took quick action on that one this weekend, making that an illegal organisation. We have to recognise that anyone that provides succour to Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis...
Sorry, Deborah, I'm
and
trying
all
to
the
decipher your
Iranian-backed
message.
groups that have their proxies in this country, as well as around the world, have to be stamped on. We need to up the level of investment in intelligence services, and we have to stop this idea that it's okay to go out and protest with all these sort of anti-Semitic imagery.
What should
and all
happen
the
to that
rest of
London
it.
takeaway who's advertising their kebabs and
I
shit?
tell you exactly what should happen to that London takeaway. They should be investigated on terrorism charges because they're glorifying terrorism, and they should fucking be shut down at the very fucking least.
Issues using Iranian...
Yeah, God help
Well,
us is
in
absolutely right,
World
Deborah.
War I
The
and
right
World
God.
War II, when anyone that was felt to be pro-German,
God
had a
help us
crowd
indeed.
outside
We're fucked.
closing
We're
them
absolutely
down.
fucked.
You know,
Country's
this
gone
was
to
not
shit.
allowed.
I'll tell you what,
World War II,
they have a crowd outside, Paul. They have a crowd.
Queuing up for kebabs.
But no, they're supporting. They have a crowd outside. They're supporting them. That clip has gone viral online with tens of thousands of likes from a lot of people in Britain. There's not a crowd saying, shut down, what the hell are you... Here's the footage there.
Can I just ask...
Oh yeah, the usual suspects lining up to eat from there as well. How mad is that, eh? Fucking hell.
Peter, I mean, what do you think, Peter, of the streets today? You almost
engineers and
it
doctors.
was described as the Battle of the Flags. We've got so many protests going on in the streets of London and a couple of other cities.
No, we don't. We don't have so many different protests going on in the streets of London. We have all of one protest continuously every fucking weekend. I can't remember the last time I was able to walk down fucking Trafalgar Square without hearing free Palestine drilled into my fucking head.
Today, we've got pro-Palestine marches, we've got Israeli marches,
Don't have Israeli marches. The Israeli marches wouldn't be there. The Israeli marches wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the pro-Hamas marches.
About that.
Well, shamefully, the Metropolitan Police has appeased so many of these pro-Palestinian marches when people have walked along issuing their disgusting anti-Semitic chants,
100%,
carrying flags and banners that should have led immediately to their arrest. But the cowardly Metropolitan Police chose not to do so.
And this guy is an ex-inspector of the Metropolitan Police, so he is more than qualified to basically say they are now cowards. This guy needs to be the next mayor of London, I'm telling you. He'd be fucking amazing. He'll get my vote.
Happens when you appease people, you empower them, and that's what's happened. This is all a result of the progressives. The progressives run the civil service. The progressives, the pathetic progressives, run the Metropolitan Police. Who is going to get a grip as this country slides inexorably into an abyss?
Absolutely, and just going back to Bryce Norton, one of the big problems there is that the RAF regiment, whose job it is to protect our air bases, has been denuded and cut back. A lot of these bases are now defended by private security firms. And I don't know what they're doing.
Someone needs to resign for that.
Well,
someone needs to resign. John Healey needs to resign. Somebody needs to fall on their sword for that. That is an absolute joke. That is the epitome of a country on its knees. You've got two vandals, or, I mean, they should be classed as terrorists. By the way, they should be shot on sight. If that was Moscow, or if that was, Area 51 in Nevada, they would be shot on sight.
This is the problem, though. The private security guards are not the RAF regiment, and they can't shoot people on sight because they are private.
The private security guards probably aren't even from this country, let me tell you that. Look at the security guards.
Yeah, all the asylum hotels are all the same fucking... They're the asylums.
People who supervise or manage people are afraid to say, do this, please, and do it properly, do it now. Oh, I think I'll go to a tribunal, you're bullying me. This is a progressive nonsense that has ruled the roost for 3 decades or so. And this is coming home to roost.
Just a very quick point there. Your intro there, for the news script, said these are stunts by Palestine Action. They're not stunts, they are sabotage.
Yes.
And
they're terror attacks.
Keir Starmer.
I think they're on the same page. I don't know why they're arguing with each other.
I think that was the wrong word too. I think
you couldn't even name them.
I think it is sabotage, and they should be treated.
It is sabotage, which is
he couldn't even name the group. He said he just called it vandals. You've destroyed millions of pounds worth of Voyager.
No, you know why he's called it vandalism? Because he doesn't want it classified as a terrorism.
Exactly. This guy, he just sees straight through it.
The RAF used to have its own police service with many dog handlers who would patrol bases.
100%.
And would prevent this kind of stuff.
I'll tell you a little story, right? So about 2023, I was involved in helping train Ukrainians to go back and fight the Russians. I won't tell you where I was, but I'll tell you a little thing about it. We had 600 Ukrainians on our camp, and we had 2 security guards. Both of them worked the same shift. So 12 hours of the day, there was no security around that fucking camp. None whatsoever. No dogs, nothing. I did a little bit of fitness. I got some weight on my back and I thought I'd run the perimeter of the camp. I found 4 holes in the fence line where you could just crawl underneath. It's fucking insane. Like, the standard of security in the armed forces has just dropped on every fucking metric. And it's because we have no fucking money. That's why. Now we've got a recruiting problem. They're pumping as much fucking money in as they can just for recruiting. But this stuff still gets through the cracks.
They've been cut by successive governments.
In simple terms, what do you think Keir Starmer can do now to get on top of the situation?
Well, straight away, by prescribing Palestine Action, then he can send the police in to disrupt their activities, to arrest their leaders, to smash up their headquarters in London and disrupt their activities.
And someone from the RAF should be sacked as well. Just finally, before we move on, what do you make of the revelations tonight that I brought you, that there's a former Iranian senior minister, I know his name, I know where he lives, I'm not going to name him just yet, who lives in North London. He backs the call for the fatwa on Salman Rushdie. Salman Rushdie, of course, escaped with his life after being attacked some years ago. And he also praised the
so many
IRG,
times,
which
on
the US
stage.
considers a terrorist group. This guy lives in a £1 million house in North London, and separately, just to remind you, we've got a Hamas commander who ran their terrorist operations in the West Bank, living in a council house in North London, which he's since been allowed to buy under right to buy.
It was the Iranian Revolutionary Guard that was
this country's fucked. This country's fucked. I can't take it anymore.
In Iran.
Yeah.
Do you remember when the young woman, Masha Asimi, had her headscarf pulled back and showed her hair, and she was tortured to death in an Iranian prison cell?
Yeah.
I mean,
what should happen to these guys living in London?
Albert Pike plan is working. Elaborate. Albert Pike.
They're not.
Educate me, please.
They're allowed to walk freely through leafy North London and carry on with their day and go shopping at Aldi.
Well, they are under surveillance, though, aren't they? I mean, the fact
I don't know, are they?
Well, they will be, won't they? Let's face it. But
Get him out of the fucking country. Why do we want to keep him here and keep on? Oh, fuck me. Oh, my brain hurts.
That should be next.
OK, well, there we go. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
Bad news?
Yeah, I mean, that's the current situation. I just think that the RAF situation at Brize Norton, for me, was just the...
icing on the cake. It was fucked,
the tip of the iceberg, and it is something that really wound me up. How can that happen in this country? And even worse, as I said, how can nobody fall on their sword for it? We need a resignation, we need someone to be fired. But again, we just throw our hands in the air, we talk about it for a moment and mutter and say, oh, what an outrage, and then we move on to something else.
Exactly.
Lessons will be learned.
Yeah, exactly.
Ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Very good points made, though. What's this one saying? Wait, hold on, what's this? Exclusive. ISIS fanatics smuggled migrants into UK as shocking national security threat exposed.
It is a record year for illegal immigrants. 20,000 have crossed the channel so far this year. That is
Albert
a 50%.
Albert Pike was also involved with the clergy's plan on the same page. Really? Huh.
Increase.
Interesting.
13 boats
we'll look that up
arrived
as soon as I finish the
yesterday.
stream.
879 illegals came to Britain. That's about, what, 4 migrant hotels in one day? But who is coming across? So
if
we
you haven't
all
subscribed
know
yet,
that there
please
could
do,
be
because I do
rapists,
videos about this
paedophiles,
sort of stuff
murderers and
all the time.
terrorists. But the left like to scoff at you and call you a racist when you say things like that. Well, show them what I'm about to show you.
Just an interesting point of what you mentioned there. I started making videos. I used to do like video game fucking videos, and I grew up a little bit, and I get more passionate about the state of the country at the moment and things that are going on. So I started making a few videos about my thoughts and feelings regarding things that are going on. The most recent one is the whole shit that happened at Glastonbury with that Bob Villain dickhead screaming death to the ITF. And going, oh, I heard you want your country back. What a fucking mug. Anyway, I made a few videos. Mate, it took 4 videos before I was called a racist and a bigot. 4 fucking videos, and I'm branded a racist now. So that could fuck my YouTube career up. Not that I have one, but you know.
You then, because one of the people smugglers that we've been tracking initially just started sharing stuff like this yesterday.
Oh look, doctors and engineers.
Now, depressingly, that's normal stuff. Boat crossings, young Middle Eastern-looking men on the march across Europe before invading Britain. Well, then, that same person shared these videos.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. What is that right there? That, my friends, looks painstakingly familiar to the Islamic State flag. Am I wrong?
I think if we just pause
there you go.
Because
see?
I think what you'll be able to see in the top right of your screen
Nothing
is
gets
the
past me.
flag of ISIS. So that appears to be an ISIS propaganda video. He then goes on to share videos of brutal executions. People being shot in the head at point blank range. It's sickening, and for understandable reasons, we have decided not to broadcast that. But here is the rest of what one people smuggler was posting.
Seen enough of it. Guy really needs to work on his editing skills and his thumbnails. Don't worry, it's okay, guys. He's a doctor. He's a doctor. It's fine. Don't worry about this sort of stuff that he shares. He's a doctor. Dickheads.
So these are the people bringing
YouTube,
illegal
the plan,
migrants to Britain. There you go.
YouTube,
it
the
looks
plan,
to me like they might be ISIS fanatics. How many terrorists is this Labour government letting into Britain? Let's get the thoughts of my panel.
Can you send
TV
links
News presenter Alex
YouTube
Armstrong,
chat?
Political commentator Esther Kraku, and of course journalist Jonathan Liss. So Alex, you know, yet again there, it appears some quite devastating stuff from the old human trafficker brigade. The black flag of ISIS proudly displayed on their social media and execution videos.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what, Patrick? I wish I could say I was surprised. But like you, when you saw that video, you probably weren't surprised. You probably knew this has been happening all along. People coming to this country that hate us, that want to cause harm to British people. I'm not saying they all are. I'm saying that there probably will be one or two of them at least that are coming over here doing that. I mean, you only got to look at the statistics, haven't we, to see how many incarcerations there are from foreign nationals. I don't know how many of them will be illegal migrants, but this should send shockwaves up and down the country.
Yeah. So that guy was bringing people illegally to Britain.
Is that like a psychedelic video?
Is
that what I'm looking at here?
Social media.
Looks like a psychedelic video.
For a period of time as well. So we know that's happening. And at the same time, he's posting ISIS videos and execution videos. And it does make you wonder as to, how many terrorists are coming across the channel?
It's not really surprising that someone who's willing to traffic people and risk their lives in the channel doesn't have seem to have the most upstanding morals. But even taking the emotion out of it and, this horde of people coming across on boats and the whole imagery around it, you have to admit on a basic level that if you have porous borders, you are leaving your native population at risk of people, however tiny a minority they may be, of the people that are entering the country, of people that have ill intentions. And the bigger question isn't the fact that they're just coming here and many of them are trying to claim asylum dubiously or any of that. It's about the most vulnerable in society, women and children, the elderly, for example, people that are not naturally to protect themselves. What do they do when these people are infiltrated into their communities? And you have neighborhoods that are saying, actually, we have a heightened sense of concern. Not because we're racist, but because we don't know who these people are.
The other dimension to this is how do most people
what's the name of the YouTuber?
They find a human trafficker on TikTok.
The uploader. What's the name of the uploader?
Looked at that human trafficker's content, seen the ISIS stuff and decided, he's my guy. Jonathan, that really does make me question whether or not we are just allowing ISIS to flood Britain.
Well, as Esther says,
I hate this guy so much.
Smugglers are...
Why does he always look like he's wearing fucking eyeshadow as well? This guy winds me up so much.
By and large,
his voice.
Dreadful, exploitative human beings who will exploit human misery for profit. That is why I say week after week on this programme that the way to smash the smuggling gangs is to smash their monopoly. And the way you can do that is by actually offering a safe and legal alternative through the government, because we know there are going to be people who will be coming here, whether we like it or not, and the best thing to do is actually to either process them in France or both
Kamal
in France.
Does it not worry
also
you, the
provide
ISIS connection?
But no, look,
of
course it worries me, Patrick.
That doesn't worry you.
And
that man who's posting that ISIS content and the stuff that we weren't able to show was utterly horrendous. People being shot in the back of the head at point blank.
I don't think we're disagreeing on that. I don't think we're disagreeing on the fact that these are abhorrent people that have no place here and they shouldn't be bringing people here. I don't think we disagree that the system is horrible. The question is, what do we do about it? And for many people...
Well, you can start by nicking him.
I don't fucking see it, man. I'll tell you what I can do.
So, while I take your point, I think the frustration that people get whenever we talk about, we process them and, offer them safe and legal routes, this people smuggling gang business, it's the same as the drug business.
I'll send an invite to my
streamer
Discord.
You can put it in the
general... I don't know if you have... Do you have Discord?
Yeah, we should legalise drugs as well.
But again, it doesn't work. It's about the demand as opposed to the supply. If people knew that once they come to if people knew that once they come to Britain they have by these routes, there is no way they're going to be allowed to stay. That is how you smash the gang.
It's less for me about smashing the gang so much and looking at that in isolation there and saying, is that not pretty cast iron proof that ISIS, Islamic State, and other jihadi terrorist organisations
if you jump into that Discord there, I don't know if you have Discord, but you can put the link to the video in the general chat and then I'll stick it up. I'll have a look. But I can't seem to find it on YouTube.
Well, exactly, right?
One of whom came across on the boats.
Well, this is it.
By that Iranian national.
This is what I'm going to say, right? There's only one way we can be sure and we can be safe, and that is by deporting all of them. Anyone that has come here illegally,
every single fucking one of them.
Not a joke. and the left are playing politics with this.
Alex.
But we're putting people's lives in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as one incident happens, one is too many. There's only one way we can deal with this. It's to deport anyone that's come here illegally.
It is not a crime.
It is a crime to enter this country illegally.
It is not a crime to seek asylum in this country.
Yes, but when you go through 4 or 5 different safe countries to get here, you're obviously not seeking asylum.
And there are no legal ways to do it. Almost none. There are almost no legal ways to do it.
Hang on a minute. You could just apply for a legal visa, couldn't you?
You can't seek asylum outside.
Yeah, but you don't
the
have to
UK.
seek asylum, you see.
Well, exactly. If you hate that as well, because what people do is they come here. What people do, Patrick, is they come here legally and then they overstay their visa and claim asylum that way. And you'd hate that as well.
Well, if they were trying to seek asylum, they would have stayed.
Well, let's just let them in the first place. Fucking your logic.
So many times, it's not what happens. It's not what happens. It's never been the case. It's nowhere in international law is that written.
How many people have to die? Seriously, how many people have to die before we get action?
Only when someone prominent dies, that's when they'll start doing something about it, like a politician or a politician's child or something like that. When notice how they don't open up any of these migrant hotels outside any private schools or fucking government buildings or things like that. No, they're always hidden somewhere. There's one in Peckham, not far from here, where I just nearly gave my location away. There's one there that's just on the high street. It's like they're never in places where it affects, like Richmond or fucking Kingston upon Thames. You don't see any up that way. No, you always see it in the fucking slums of London and the rest of the country. Never see it where people actually have fucking money and it can affect their daily lives.
People are dying. The government should be stepping in and actually accepting that there is a problem, and the government should be setting up these visa asylum processes in France.
Over the last couple of weeks on this show, I have shown people cast iron proof of AR-15 assault rifles in possession of the human traffickers are using. I've shown them all of that. I've now exposed an ISIS connection there that's pretty unequivocal. I mean, if this isn't a national emergency, then nothing is. But what has to happen? Seriously, did someone come over here and just kill a load of people in the name of ISIS and we just have to accept that?
That's what will happen. That's what will happen, isn't it, Patrick? And then it will be too late. Because by that point, British people are already dead. And you've got the Liberal Democrats out yesterday calling for a Cobra meeting on the heat wave. What jobs the political class have become in this country?
There are people.
Let's just deport the illegal migrants. Let's get them out
Cobra
of here.
meeting on the heat wave, but not on the migrants.
They won't come back when we start.
Alex, this is madness. You agree, Alex? You agree? Alex, you agree that there is a large number of asylum seekers who are legitimate asylum seekers?
No, I don't believe it's a large.
Well, you don't believe there are any.
It's not that big.
You don't believe there are any
actual genuine asylum
seekers.
seekers.
Has proved 75% of a couple of years ago.
Yes, well, I mean, we look at why they're approving. You're going to go look at the ECHR.
That's nothing to do with it.
Fuck off! There's nothing to do with it, you mug. I hate this guy so much.
They're getting jobs the minute they land.
They are being judged as the majority being judged as legitimate.
We had today the other big news of the day, and we're going to be returning to this at 10:30 when it's all over tomorrow's newspaper front pages. Was of course the welfare U-turn that Keir Starmer has done, and so in the House of Commons today we had MPs quibbling over PIP and universal credit, whilst we've got millions of people on the take by the state, and you've got MPs there making all of these cases, and then eventually the government U-turns are just absolutely naffle. So we just plough ahead. We've wasted weeks on this, loads of political capital. It's all done, massive fallout for absolutely no result. We're in the same position as benefits before. Meanwhile, we've got Islamic State helping with the Channel migrant crossing. So is Starmer just fiddling while Britain burns, do you think?
Oh, he's asleep at the wheel. But, I mean, this problem is...
definitely.
It's beyond the competence, however limited that is, of Starmer and the government. I mean, there's nothing that can be said, not in Parliament, not here, not amongst the public, that's going to actually spur this government into action. It's very clear.
Asmongold just uploaded a video. What's
his
video
humiliation on the small boats crossing, I think is probably going to be the biggest of his premiership. But I don't think that he's particularly bothered. This is not someone that's looking for the reef. I actually think he hates what he's doing. He looks pretty miserable. He's not getting anything done. I mean, he's trotting out his MPs to talk about wins that are not actually wins or are just virtually non-existent. The economy is tanking. I'm sorry, the least of his concerns, quite as scary as it is for us, is 20,000 men, predominantly men of fighting age, crossing the channel from God knows where. So this whole
it's not an army,
hold on.
More of them have come over here from the
fighting age.
I said they are fighting. They're not old men. They're not with walking sticks.
Like you say, they're working age.
So you don't think it's an invasion?
No, of course not.
What does an invasion look like, Jonathan?
Well, I mean, the Nazis, maybe. The Badlands.
Well, we went to Calais on D-Day, and we've had more people cross the channel to this country than we sent over to Calais.
It's just not rhetoric that I recognise at all.
The point I was making is the idea that Keir Starmer is somehow going to prioritise spending more of British money on processing people that most of whom have no claim to be in Britain is laughable. Like, it's ridiculous. This is not going to get solved. It's only going to get worse. You're going to have some scandal in a few months about some next Abdulaziz pouring acid on a woman and her two kids.
Or another 7-7. You're going to end it with another 7-7.
And it's sad.
Everyone's going to scratch their heads. Oh, how did it happen? I wonder how this happened. Well, maybe if you went on TikTok and saw that there's a bloke over there who's posting ISIS beheading videos and shooting people in the back of their head, and he's helping bring people into Britain. Oh, should we put two and two together and wonder how on earth these jihadi terrorists got
the majority of people are already here. They've been grown.
Shut up, mate. Change the record.
Convicted sexual
Change the
offender
fucking record,
who cannot
man.
be allowed to sit in a
I'm going to watch
church by himself
some lefties
was
losing it
granted
because they're always
asylum
fun. I
after
don't know if
being
anyone ever
rejected
watches it,
by
but if anyone ever watches Sky News, which I don't think most people probably would, but Sky News Australia are less censored. They're not exactly a government mouthpiece out there, and they say it how it is, and they come up with some funny shit, man. So I'm going to put one of them ones on.
Lefties
so
losing
funny.
It. And we've got some weapon-grade Trump derangement syndrome antics coming up.
I love
for you,
this so much.
Let's start in the UK, where saying just about anything against the leftist orthodoxy will see the police at your door. It may get you charged.
They're always talking about the UK. Always talking about the UK. They're like, even Australia knows how ridiculous it is over here.
For a couple of anti-immigration posts, that's longer than some grooming gang members have received as far as prison terms. Talk about a two-tier justice system, which all brings me to Glastonbury and the orgy of hate and hysteria celebrated by a massive crowd
Fucking
of
shoot me
lefty
now.
simpletons. Here is some rapper and anti-British, anti-West Islamist supporting miscreant, part of a duo called Bob Vylan. And watch as this rapper mocks Brits who want their country back.
First of all, I'm just going to say, I fucking despise this guy, man. No talent whatsoever. His dreadlocks look like if you ordered dreadlocks from fucking Wish.com. And he genuinely looks like a Tisu fucking... He's just shit, man. I heard you wanted to go to the States. You ain't getting your fucking visa now, big lad, are ya? Shut the fuck up. Pisses me off because the beat's really good.
And watch the crowd, a sea of pasty white, self-loading Brits.
Oh, wait, you leave us pasty
cheering
whites alone,
against
yeah?
their own
We're not
country.
all like that. Right, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. What was the one flag you could not see there? Let's go back.
And watch the crowd, a sea of pasty white, self-loading Brits cheering against their own country.
Any British flags there? Any? I don't know what flag that is, but it's not a British one. I don't know what flag that is. Palestine, 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 Palestine. Politically motivated much?
And that same idiot crowd were happy to join in with that genocidal chants about killing Israelis and ending the only Jewish state.
Just say from the river to the sea, which is basically technically calling for the extinction of Jews. Death to the IDF. This guy doesn't look like he's ever been in a real fight in his entire fucking life. The guy looks like a fucking melt. Again, look, I don't know what flag that is. Palestine, 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 Palestine. Fucking somewhere irrelevant. I'm sure that's the Red Hand of Ulster, so that's technically a British flag, but it's for Northern Ireland. It's not a... I'm not sure it's an official flag, but...
Hell yeah, from the river to the sea, Palestine must be, will be.
The next word he says, he's not a Muslim, but listen to the next word he says here.
Inshallah.
And
I mean, am I the bad guy? Am I the arsehole here? Am I the arsehole here for finding that so fucking distasteful?
Here are more privileged, almost uniformly white lefty misfits who have paid a lot of money to be a part of whatever this is.
Oh, is that another area of Glastonbury? If you're watching my live stream right now, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps me go a little bit further. Even if you're, you know, gonna leave, a nice little thumbs up would do well. Thank you.
And if that wasn't bad enough, the crowd were treated to far-left loon and former Labor Party leader Jeremy Corbyn banging on about Donald Trump and building...
Jeremy Corbyn, another terrorist sympathiser. Massive sympathiser for the IRA.
Bridges, not walls. But isn't there a massive wall, a massive fence around the music festival to ensure only those with a valid ticket are allowed to enter to hear crap like this?
If you can see that far, look on the wall right over there.
Oh, shut up, you prick. That would be enough for me to leave. I'd want my money back. Again, look. Go back. Go back.
You can see that far. Look on the wall right over.
Any British flag, anywhere. Not a single British. Where the fuck has our patriotism gone? Why do places like the States, everywhere you go, there's a flag? I mean, right outside here, there's a British flag on my property. 100%. Proud, loud and proud. Happy. Up there, flying. Not a single one there in Glastonbury. Why?
Over there that surrounds this wonderful festival.
Because these people are taught to be ashamed that they're British.
And you know what it says? Build bridges, not walls.
Dickheads.
But they built a wall around the festival. They
Imagine going to a festival with Corbyn written across the... Oh my God, what a fucking freak of nature.
To allow anybody who wants to come, they built...
How many parties have they brought out this week? This will just weaken up the parties, that's the plan. Yeah, no, I agree, 100%. Are you talking about political parties or other like festivals?
The little eunuch had a big screen featuring Donald Trump, and he and his sad little audience were giving the president the finger. I don't know if the Trump administration can recover from this.
Oh, how sad. How sad. How, like, tell me you're triggered without telling me you're fucking triggered. Jesus fucking Christ,
now,
man.
here is a socialist proving yet again that the left is all about projection and... Really, they operate without shame. Here is Bernie Sanders accusing the Republicans of being extremist and Stalinist.
The Republican Party has not just become a right-wing extremist party. In many cases, it's become like a Stalinist.
Wasn't Bernie Sanders a runner for president? Did he run against Trump in his first term?
I got to tell you, the chutzpah is off the charts with that.
I mean, he was a favourite to win as well, wasn't he?
Here is Bernie Sanders getting an education. He went on the Joe Rogan show.
Or did he go up against Barack
Joe
Obama?
Joe Rogan used to love Bernie, used to back him. But now I think he's seeing him clearly for the leftist clown that he is.
Was the poll incorrect?
Yeah, the poll was wrong. So what?
What about the conversation that they had with Kamala Harris where they edited the answers that she had?
60 Minutes has a sterling reputation for investigative journalism.
That's not investigative journalism if you change someone's answers. If you ask her a question and she comes with a rambling answer that doesn't make sense and you edit that out...
Suing media has the impact of intimidating media.
No, but it's not that. It's deceptive editing.
I don't know what
100%.
A different perception of who this candidate is than reality. But that's not objective journalism. Would you agree with that?
I don't know that I agree with your analysis of it.
I think that's universally accepted.
I think you're talking shit, sir.
Intimidation. He wants to defund public broadcasting. Why is that? Because they also will run critical stories of him.
They say things that are defamatory and factually incorrect.
Holy shit.
What other
I just realised how bad my
stream
stream looks.
And Joe Rogan also schooled Bernie, the socialist with 3 houses, the climate change warrior who takes private jets around the country. Joe schooled him on global
It looks alright
warming.
on my... it just looks shit on my phone.
Change issue. And I know that, you know, there are some people who think climate change is a hoax. It ain't a hoax. I think the last 10 years have been the warmest
on record?
First of all, the reality is that the Earth's temperature has never been static, right? We could both agree on that.
True.
It's always been up and down. There's been ice ages and heat waves. And then
True that,
the
true
Washington
that.
Post.
But we are
looked
talking
at it.
about
What was the
over
time
the
period
process of
that they
millions
looked
of
at?
years.
That essentially they found that we're in a cooling period. That the Earth over the past X amount of years, and this was like a very inconvenient discovery, but they had to report the data, and kudos to them for doing that. Scientists have captured the Earth's climate change over the last 485 million years. Here's a surprising place we stand now. So look at the far end of that graph, and you see we're in a cooling period.
Well, I'm not sure. I didn't read that article, but
Yeah.
the scientists who are out there, I think.
I know, but there's a lot of money involved in that too, Bernie. That's part of the problem. There's a lot of money involved in this whole climate change emergency issue, and there's a lot of control.
Yeah, I mean,
And
how do
that's,
they make
that's
money
a big
off of
part
that?
of this problem.
Is what I'd like
Now
to know.
here is thoroughly confused doom goblin Greta Thunberg.
Doom goblin!
Budapest in a keffiyeh marching for pride and misusing the word fascist.
Today I am joining
Today,
thousands of people.
I am joining thousands of people to talk about other people taking my dreams. You've stolen my future. Fucking, her face is just, oh, I hate her so much.
in Budapest, in Hungary, who are defying Viktor Orbán's desperate attempt to ban the
Desperate
Pride
attempt to ban.
March. Pride is both a
Pride
protest, but
is
also
both
a
a
celebration
protest
of
and
love.
celebration.
We are.
Shut up, you
This
cunt.
is yet another fascist attack on human rights.
And why are we wearing this around our shoulders, by the way? Because I'd like you to know, Mrs. Greta Thunberg, that if the people that you support ever came into power and brought that Sharia law in, this, fucking climate change would be the least of your fucking worries. Leaving the house with your face uncovered would be your biggest problem.
But you
Which leads me to think that maybe there are some good things about a burqa when it comes to Greta Thunberg.
cannot ban
Huh.
love.
That should be a campaign for Reform Party. Yeah, ban the burqa unless your wife is ugly.
Yeah, why don't you try that in a Muslim country, Greta? How about you try it, I don't know, in Gaza or even the West Bank? You're not going to get far.
But that's what I'm gonna leave with now. Ban the burqa unless your wife is ugly.
Zoran Mamdani,
Then she
the
has to wear it.
right-wing mayor of New York City. Here he is with actress Cynthia Nixon doing whatever this is.
Oh my god, my body just imploded with cringe. What the fuck was that?
Joining me now is the host of Primetime with Alex Stein on Blaze TV,
Hello.
comedian Alex Stein. Alex, the left are very excited about this character. Is he going to be the next mayor of New York City? And are Texans prepared for the influx of New Yorkers who are going to be moving to your state if he ends up winning?
Well, I actually am of the opinion I'm ready for
let's
more New
have a look.
Yorkers
What
to
else
come
is
to
going
Texas. I
on?
know a lot of people are saying, "Hey, don't
What
come
else
here,"
is going
but,
on?
We got a lot of room.
He can
we got a
scram.
lot of
Shakira, I saw a
businesses,
talk.
businesses booming.
What is this? He can scram. Nah, Ugly Truth comes out. What else have we got? Jew recites the Quran verse Muslims don't want to hear. What are we thinking, chat? Should we check this on? Should we find out what they don't want to hear? Let's have a look.
So, someone I was just speaking to, it wasn't recording, but
Oh, I know
they
this guy. This
said
guy's been to
that
Speaker's
they
Corner
were
a few
gonna
times.
strike the neck of the kuffar, which is an ayah, a verse from the Quran, and this is what it goes like.
Holy shit, that's a graphic image. Strike. When you meet those who disbelieve, strike their necks. Holy fucking shit.
Okay, so you've just seen what it means, and I'm now going to go and ask Muslims.
Oh, thank you for the like, my
means,
guy.
And I got a pretty creative way of doing it, so let's get some explanations. You speak Arabic, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, bless you. I need help translating something. I heard something. And by the way,
hold on,
Bishi
is he?
Kurdistan,
Is
Bishi
he?
Kurdistan.
Thank you.
Is he? Because I know he's Jewish. Is he? Is that a Jewish headdress or is that one of the Muslim headdresses? Because I think the Jewish skull cap's smaller than that and sort of sits right at the back of their heads. So is he like undercover here, trying to get Muslims to slip up?
So I heard something, and I don't know if it's a song or what it is, but it sounds nice, and I want to know what the words mean. So it goes. Excuse my voice. I'm a terrible singer. فإذا لقيتم
bill has passed in the House.
الذين كفروا فضرب الرقاب حتى. What is it?
It's Quran. That's Quran.
What does it mean?
That's not a song.
Okay, sorry, they're not a song. I heard.
Oh, is this his way of like?
What does it mean?
Okay.
فإذا.
I don't know the meaning behind.
Don't know the meaning. Okay.
Another clone? Oh, you're talking about
Yeah,
Greta
no, what's the
Thunberg? Yeah.
surah?
No, I agree 100%.
What's the surah name?
What is the surah?
Surah means what's the
Bro, عربي حيديني عربي.
Arab.
برو لأنه لو إنه مش عربي كان في عنده
So I don't know what it means. I don't speak Arabic. It went like this.
كان دينكم.
It sounds
Curse
like.
your religion.
Can you show it to us?
I've only heard it. It was playing and it just kept on playing while I was working.
دقيقة شوي. فإذا لقيتموه.
أظني عرفت
الذين كفروا فضرب الرقاب حتى.
Yeah, they didn't want to tell him what it meant. They knew exactly what it meant.
Israel, look at you, you're a joker.
Bro, do you speak Arabic?
Do you speak Arabic?
No, I don't speak Arabic, mate.
استغفر الله.
أنا بتكلم عربية. قسمك من؟ قسمك ولا قسمك أبدا.
Wow.
يا خنزير.
No, listen. You just call me pig in my language. Khenzir is Arabic, bro.
Bro, I need help.
Yeah.
I want people to translate
Yeah,
this.
we know you need help.
I've listened. I've heard this beautiful song, and I'm asking people that speak Arabic to translate it for me.
But you literally got a Zionist shirt on with a blue Israeli flag.
He's just gonna sing it. See what they say.
That's not Arabic, that's fucking Hebrew. This guy's got a Zionist t-shirt on with the Israeli flag. Ask him how. Fucking yarmulke on as well. Better yet, what the fuck? Change on, bro.
It's mad that they can tell the difference between a yarmulke and a you know, whatever they call it that the Muslims wear. I couldn't tell the difference. That looks like the Muslim one to me.
Hijabis on your computer. This is you. Amazing. You can help me because you speak Arabic, yes?
Yeah.
So I've heard a song and it sounds like it's like heavenly and I think it's in Arabic. Can you tell me what it means? فَإِذَا لَقِيتُمُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَضَرْبَ الرِّقَابِ حَتَّى. What is that Arabic? فَإِذَا لَقِيتُمُ.
Oh, this is Quran, bro.
Look at the state of your floor, man.
Yeah,
I thought
this
like
is
Muslims
Quran.
were kept a clean house. Look at her fucking floor.
The first word I didn't understand what you say, and the second one, either it's like an if, and the word that you say after I don't understand what you say.
Lakitumu.
I think like
State of your fucking
like
floor.
If you found the people
Fuck me.
who had betrayed God.
Okay, and then fadarba rikabi.
I don't know. Sorry.
Nearly got it. You're the best so far at translating, which makes sense because you look sunnah. You look like you're on the deen. All right, sister.
What the fuck? Okay. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Jazakallah.
Yeah, this guy's a bit boring. That guy's a bit boring. I exposed more Iran protesters. Ooh, despicable. Douglas Murray beats Glastonbury. Blast. Oh, yeah, here we go. 11 hours ago.
In the UK, we've had the orgy of hate at Glastonbury Music Festival. Pascal Robinson Foster, I got to say, I'd never heard of him until this week. That's the name of the dude who started the Death to IDF chant and other chants on stage, enthusiastically backed by the crowd. We saw plenty more political statements, all in the one direction. Douglas, how do we begin to understand these young, privileged people at a music festival really having no empathy for people very similar to them who were slaughtered at the Nova Music Festival less than 2 years ago?
It's astonishing, isn't it? I mean, you know, the sort of instinct one has on it in a way is, you know, to wish that these morons at Glastonbury ever got a.
I like Douglas Murray.
The innocent young people at the
Douglas
Nova
Murray.
Festival,
Fuck now. Lost my
saw
words
on
there.
the morning of October the 7th. The fact
Such
that,
an intelligent mind.
not much more than a year and a half after the massacre of hundreds of young people at the Nova Festival, another music festival, Glastonbury, would keep on having artists coming out in favor of the people who did the attacks and not on the side of the victims. It's not like it should be a hard one, that. Are you on the side of the big bearded rapists and torturers and murderers and kidnappers?
People who put
or are
babies
you
in
on the
ovens.
side of the innocent young people dancing in the early hours of the morning at the Nova Festival? These people have decided they're on the side of the rapists and the torturers and
100%.
the killers and the kidnappers. And it's so despicable. But there's something that needs to be brought out about this, which is there's quite rightly been a lot of rage about this idiot dolt saying death to the IDF, which of course means death to all the young men and women who have mandatory service in Israel and have to risk their lives fighting terrorists up close. But there's been a lot of reaction to that. But there's something else that this moron chanted on stage that's also worth lingering on. I write about this in my Spectator column this coming week, which is he led the crowd in these chants of that you say you want your country back, F that.
Yes.
And all the time with projections on the back of the stage about the fact that immigrants built Britain and much more. This is almost perfectly created to be as divisive and hate-filled a message as possible.
100%.
He was saying to white British people, you're not going to get your country back. People like me are taking your country. He used terms like gammon, a totally racist
Wow,
term.
I've not heard that for a long time.
And he was just saying,
That's a
no,
fucking horrendous
actually,
word.
we're here. I'm here. You don't have your country anymore. And of course, the amazing irony of him doing this in front of a crowd, merrily waving Palestinian flags. So they pretend to care about indigenous rights, don't care about indigenous Jews, and actually hate indigenous British people, hate white indigenous British people. This is out and out racism against the British public. And I mean,
but he can't be racist because he's
black. It makes you
black.
despair at the fact that all of these people would pay and chant along to hate all the time, thinking they're acting, of course, in the name of love. And the organisers and everyone else should be ashamed of themselves. I very much look forward to the day when we never have to consider Glastonbury again.
Not at all, I know. They don't hide it. Exactly, Deborah, you're absolutely right. Back in the day, it would be like subtle,
song and
you know,
chant,
sly
and to
remarks
hear
here
the
and there.
crowd
Today, it's just
sing
in
along
your face.
enthusiastically, these
In your
self-loathing,
face.
privileged, almost uniformly white
It's
kids.
fucking insane, man. Fuck knows what this country's going to look like in about 10 years'
It's
time.
tragic.
I don't want
Douglas,
to know.
you wrote a superb
I almost
piece
don't want
for
to be
the
here.
New York Post on the unscientific bullies of the trans movement and how they were allowed to push their often warped ideology with little pushback from the medical fraternity until recently. And one of the most shameful tactics was to terrify parents, to manipulate parents into backing so-called gender-affirming care for their child with lines like, would you rather have a trans daughter or a dead son?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, what
Bit of flourish for that,
problem
isn't it?
with, bouncing off a very interesting piece that, you know, there was this DHSS investigation into this, a scholarly and learned paper by American scientists and others looking into whether so-called gender-affirming care or the giving of cross-sex hormones and the use of double mastectomies on minors, whether this was all such a great idea after all. And the review in question looked at all of the reviews that have been happening, not least the CAS review in the UK, and studies in Scandinavia and all the places you're meant to listen to studies from, actually showing that all of these countries have understandably been stepping back from the brink of what we were going into in recent years, so merrily and unquestioned. And what was striking about it was that the authors of this report in America wanted to remain anonymous, and one of them was outed online people as trans activist extremists outed this person online, and he wrote to try to sort of justify the findings of the report. But what is striking to me is look at the fact that even in the United States of America in this era, medical professionals and others want to hide their names if they are saying things that are widely accepted now in other countries, such as there is no evidence that giving children cross-sex hormones at an age where they cannot vote, cannot drive
drink,
a car,
cannot drink alcohol,
cannot buy alcohol, mightn't that be that great an idea, or at least should deserve more questioning. I think it's an example of the fact, we often talk about the terrorizing effects of mobs and so on, but this is how a a sort of fringe part of the trans lobby can actually insinuate its way into the mainstream by trying to terrorize, terrify, and silence actual experts on these questions. It's really
they did the exact same thing during
COVID.
COVID. They did the exact same thing during COVID-19. They'd silence loads of doctors who would call out the bullshit about the vaccines, and they got away with that. They'll get away with this, and us being the plebs at the bottom of the fucking tank, we'll just carry on eating the shit and not doing anything about it.
People have been finding their voice.
Or will we?
Well, I wish they'd find their voice in this country, because we don't even have a review. We are so backward in this area. We've seen the UK, Scandinavia, the US start looking at the evidence behind this entire dogma, I call it. I mean, this gender-affirming care. But in this country, they're too terrified to even review the practices. Now, Douglas, before you go, you've done it now. You've gone and penned a piece about toxic femininity for The Spectator. We've heard plenty about toxic masculinity.
Yeah, what's toxic femininity?
It really isn't.
Is
It's almost taboo to be critical of femininity. In fact, we're told the world's problems would probably be solved if we were all just a bit more compassionate and had a bit more empathy and had a bit more feminine traits. Do you disagree?
Yes, I very much disagree. I mean, if you take the view, as it seems our societies have decided to take, that masculinity has toxic traits. Now, this is itself debatable. But if you say there are certain toxic traits in masculinity, things that men should be wary of doing in the public sphere,
then they should be for women.
Manners of behaviour and so on, it's always presented as if the answer to everything is feminine. But of course, if you do take this line of argument, then it should be recognised there are certain things pushed as feminine traits in our society, which themselves can be deeply, deeply toxic. And the most interesting one is the one you just mentioned there, is, for instance, the presumption, and whether it's Jacinda Ardern or whether it's Angela Rayner in the UK, there's this Kamala Harris, for that matter. There is this presumption that if
Kamala Harris is running for governor of California,
everything would be better. And they present empathy as a particularly feminine trait, which is itself is sort of wildly sexist. But let's pass over that for a moment. But what's interesting about it is, and I give the example of two things that happened in the UK within a week: the decision to decriminalise abortions after 6 months.
It's crazy.
Which means a child in the womb with a viable chance of surviving outside of the womb can be killed. And this was presented to Parliament as a case of having more empathy for the mothers who find themselves at 8 months wanting to abort their child and more. And then at the same week, another female Labour MP presented the bill for assisted dying, otherwise known as euthanasia, or choose the date on which you want to die, and the state will help you.
Only in
this
Scotland,
argument, too, was presented solely on terms of empathy, compassion, and understanding.
Yeah, but
there was almost
the difference with that is, and I'm not I'm not pro-life or pro-choice. I don't know where I sit on a fence with that, but when it comes to that, that needs a bit of give and take from the general public. When it comes to assisted suicide, well, that's your own body. You know what I mean? I know they say my body, my choice. Well, no, it is your body, but it's also the baby's body that's inside of you. With assisted suicide, that is just your decision. You're making the decision that only affects you. So
almost
bit
no
of food for thought.
analysis or a serious rigor about whether elderly men and women mightn't feel pressured by not being a burden on their families or not being a burden on the sacred welfare state and much more. That was all pushed aside, and the bill was voted through. As with the issue of post 6 months abortions, all in the language of empathy, understanding, and much more. But just consider that in these two cases, life in the UK was truncated at both ends in those days by Parliament and parliamentarians always presenting themselves as filled with compassion. If we are going to live in a society where we want to be alive to toxic traits, we should be alive to them from whichever direction they come from. So I don't doubt that some people will be triggered by that, but reality, as we know, is often triggering.
Reality can be triggering, and I'm expecting just a wave of outrage on X and other social media platforms coming your way. Douglas Murray, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Great pleasure as always, Rita.
Awesome. Right. What do we learn this evening, ladies and gentlemen? I can sum it up in 4 or 5 words. We have learnt that the UK is fucked. But yeah, it is what it is. There's not much we can do about it now. There might be, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream there because I am tired. It's now 12 o'clock at night. I need to get my head down. But if you've enjoyed the video, or if you enjoyed the stream, make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to see me do more streams like these, and I'm trying to do a video a day for at least 2 weeks. So I've put 4 videos up in the last 4 days. Of things that have been going on. Check them out. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, to make sure you know when I come back online. And yeah, till then, you guys be lucky. Special thank you to Deborah for sticking with me. I think you've been here pretty much since the start. So yeah, thank you. I'll see you guys in a bit. Have a good night.